I think Web 3.0 might be able to kill Facebook's core business model, and I am going to tell you why in this video. Here's my presentation: how Web3 can kill Facebook and other organizations dependent on exploitative ad tracking. So, a little background on the web's a little brief history lesson if you're not familiar. We have Web 1.0. It was first developed and introduced in the it was introduced in the 60s, and it was made for consumers in the 90s and into the early 2000s. Web 1.0 was highly characterized as extremely static, just pictures and text, no video. Content creators were programmers, and everyone else was a consumer. So in order to put something onto the web, you had to have like at least some programming knowledge. It wasn't nearly as easy as it is now. Yeah, so everyone else was a consumer, and it was largely static. So Web 1.0 was, that period was mostly about linking content together via hyperlinks. So it was mostly like people writing web pages of information and then linking to other sources. So that was the web slowly linking together in the early days via the hyperlink. Then we had Web 2.0, when programming got a little bit more complicated and the utility skyrocketed. This was the early 2000s to present. So web participants are now creators. So the programming got good enough to where they could actually build programs that allowed it and made it easy for people to upload content to the web, such as videos or pictures, or make websites with like drag and drop functionality. So pretty much anybody can be a content creator on the web now, regardless of how much programming knowledge they have. You really don't need any to take a picture and press the upload button. Web 2.0 is very dynamic, a lot of movement, a lot of animations. But Web 2.0 is also controlled by a few large centralized services: Amazon, Facebook, Google, for example. But Web 2.0 did give birth to lots and lots of businesses and lots of new industries that didn't exist a couple decades ago. And Web 2.0 is largely about linking programs to content. So before it was about linking content together, and now it's about linking programs to the content. The biggest thing about Web 3.0 is it's decentralized. You can see here, this is an example of something that's centralized, a centralized authority, maybe Facebook, Google, or Amazon, and then has all these branches here, all the users. And this is something that's decentralized. These users we'll call nodes, and each node has a copy of the software, and it's constantly updating. So Web 3.0, the participants are the owners. They have a vested interest in the well-being of the network. Like I said earlier, it's all about decentralization. So there's no central party in this play here. It's peer-to-peer, meaning there's no middleman between transactions. And it's all based on the blockchain, the immutable ledger, which is public and open for anyone to verify. And vested interest in the good of the network will be determined with tokenization. For example, whoever holds the most tokens has the most governance over the dApp or the smart contract or whatever program you are running. And like Web 1.0 was about linking content together, Web 2.0 was about linking programs to content. Web 3.0 is about linking content and programs together without a third party. So no Facebook, no Google, no Uber, no Amazon. So this video is mostly about ad tracking. And the argument for ad tracking is you're getting ads served to you that you actually care about, which is all great. But we're going to talk about a little bit about the cons and how Facebook kind of does it unethically. I personally believe there's a way to do it ethically, but I'll probably save that for another video. Too long, didn't read, like just track them less, I don't know. So in exchange for our attention, we give the central authority our data, which they use to make billions of dollars. Now, I don't have a problem with that personally, but pay attention to the next part here. If that data is hacked at no fault of your own, you're not compensated. So even though they are selling the data to other companies for lots of money, if the data is stolen from them and then used to make even more money, you're not compensated in any way. In fact, the central authorities do almost nothing to compensate you. A good example of this would also be a bank or a centralized token exchange like Coinbase. If your tokens are hacked, Coinbase won't try very hard to recompensate you. Coinbase won't try very hard to recompensate you for your lost funds. I actually have a video about that right here in the corner if you want to check it out later after this video. So it uses intrusive ad tracking, your location, recording your screen, listening to your voice, which would be fine, except it's non-transparent, especially for Facebook. They've been caught time and time again lying about what they're really tracking. However, Google's a little bit more transparent, as is Amazon, but Mark Zuckerberg was just caught lying to Congress by that Facebook whistleblower. So Facebook is a centralized organization, as I'm sure you know. So right now, when you create a Facebook account or when you sign in, you're giving them like your credentials. You're basically filling out a profile for yourself, and they basically have ownership of that data from that point forward. So of course the organization or the company needs to make money. There's nothing wrong with that. So they determine the best way to sell your data and keep Facebook free of charge for signing up is they will serve you advertisements, but they figured out that they make way more money if they track your behavior and serve you ads that are more relevant to you because you're more likely to click them and more likely to buy. As a result of that, Facebook has become addicted to feeding you content that will keep you glued whether it's good or bad. So their whole thing is we need to keep your eyes on this page because we need to show you more advertisements so we can make more money. Web 3.0's adoption could be exacerbated by the people's growing distrust for data vampires like Facebook. So as Facebook continues to do what they do and more people grow weary of them and grow to distrust them more, we could see hopefully a mass adoption to Web 3.0. This also allows for censorship to not be as prevalent. For example, in China, work is constantly censored by central authorities in China. People could sidestep and publish work on the blockchain in order for it to be public in the world, because of course the blockchain is public and the blockchain cannot be taken down or hacked. So imagine in the future a decentralized social network. Well, we don't even need to imagine, they already exist, but here's an example. So right now we have Facebook. We have all these Facebook users and they're logging into Facebook. When the centralized servers and all the data management and analytics is in a centralized fashion. So all of these people do not have control over the governance or the well-being of the platform. So the platform can basically do whatever it wants to its users, including track them. So with a decentralized network, there'd be no central headquarters or server. All the servers would be run on the user's devices as nodes. You would sign in with your wallet, like the Ethereum wallet. So instead of giving them your precious data right off the bat, you would just give them an anonymous wallet address, and then that would bring up a profile. Each user would be a node, so each user would be responsible for maintaining the goodwill of the platform, and each new user would be verified by all existing users. The maintenance of the platform would be funded by tokenization. So if people truly love and believe in the good of the platform, then they will buy tokens and the tokens will appreciate, thus funding development of the platform. And decisions will be made by token governance. So whoever holds the most coins will have the most weight in decision making for the good of the platform. So the person that holds the most coins for a platform probably is interested in having a nice, fair, clean platform. So here are some central authorities that could be potentially disrupted. Amazon Web Services. Basically, Amazon Web Services is the king of the internet right now. Even though there's several servers, it's still a central authority governed by Amazon Corporation. Imagine unused hardware space all over the world that is being used by the blockchain to basically house all of these platforms and websites and apps on the internet. Instead of being governed by Amazon, it would be governed by vested token holders. Uber, imagine hopping into a car, and the smart contract is basically, you take me from point A to point B, you get paid, bam, middleman's gone right there. YouTube, kind of the same as Amazon Web Services, so everything is on the blockchain, and users can use tokens to vote up videos they think deserve to be seen. Twitter, decentralized Twitter, this would be a big one. This would be a big one, especially for the no censorship thing. A decentralized platform of Twitter that got big would be very interesting. Dropbox, kind of the same as Amazon Web Services. There's lots of unused storage space all over the world, and that could also be utilized on the blockchain to basically hold online storage. And the ad tracking industry as a whole could be disrupted, because as these platforms that really rely on ad tracking the demand for them decreases, then the ad tracking will decrease as the attention moves to a more decentralized web without central authorities. So in the near future, we will have true digital ownership with things like NFTs, where applications should be able to run themselves without an organization. So they'll be run by people that have collected interest in the good of the platform. They'll be funded, maintained, and governed by strong economic incentive. For example, if you hold a lot of Bitcoin, you're getting a lot of money. If you are holding a lot of a coin for an application, you're really interested in the good of the platform is good, that will in turn drive the price of the token up, much like a stock. And that's pretty much all I have. Thank you for watching my brief overview on why I think Web 3.0 will disrupt Facebook and Facebook ad tracking at least, and other organizations with the same business model. I hope you learned something today, and let me know what you thought in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.